मूर्ति विनोदकारी पलपन विसरे नहीं जो विसारी जुगल चरण सोल चिन्ह जेह नजर समीपे रहो अमारी एह नजर समीपे रहो अमारी एह। घनश्याम महाराज ની જય, હરિકૃષ્ણ મહારાજ ની જય, સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાન ની જય, ઠાકોરજી મહારાજ ની જય. Supreme Almighty, our beloved Thakurji Maharaj, our divine Muktanandiya Parampara, and all of the Parampara Sadguru, our Pujya Guruji, and all of you Loyadham Parivar Bhakto. Jai Swaminarayan. As you can see on the screen here today, there's a big 8 in the middle. On the side it says the elite. If you put those words together and numbers together, it says the elite 8. The elite 8. What comes to mind? It's definitely not March Madness for NCAA basketball. I'm sure most of you were thinking that. It's not anything to do with any games or any other puzzles. But it definitely is to do with Bhagwan Swaminarayan's principle that we would like to take a look at. There are many different kinds of principles that Bhagwan Swaminarayan has shared in his divine Vachanamrut. Some show how to eradicate swabhavs, while others show how supreme Bhagwan Swaminarayan is, and others show the greatness and the glory of the Akantik Satpurush. But out of many different principles, Bhagwan Swaminarayan wants all of his devotees to worship him in the best comfort zone possible. What does that mean? Well, just like how if suppose it's the winter season and it's very cold, maybe even goes to negative. If one is standing outside with little protection in the form of a winter coat, boots, gloves, a winter hat, then it will be very difficult to be comfortable. It'd be very difficult to do different activities and even process the mind because of the circumstance outside. If we come inside of a building which is heated, which has comfortable seating, which is suitable, then we won't even need that winter jacket, hat, gloves, boots, nothing. And that would be our comfort zone. In another example, we can take food. If we were given something we didn't like to eat, for example, karelanu shak, that's the most common one, we would not feel comfortable even if we were hungry for 2 days and we had not eaten anything. Or if we had only eaten just a little bit, but we were very hungry and a meal was made at home and the shak was karela, we would have feelings of discomfort because of that very shak. But suppose we were hungry for 2 days and our mother made us pizza, then we would be very comfortable and we would eat more than our capacity because that is our comfort zone. In the same way, Bhagwan Swaminarayan is a very practical Bhagwan. Bhagwan Swaminarayan wants all of his devotees to be in their comfort zone while worshipping him. So regarding that, we would like to take a look at a principle in Bhagwan Swaminarayan's Vachanamrut, that he has stated that if one's elite 8 are suitable, favorable, then one would be able to worship Bhagwan with a very good comfort level. What are the elite 8? That's what we want to take a look at. Next slide, please. Place, time, action, company, mantra, meditation, initiation, and scriptures. These are the elite 8. Again, place, time, action, company, mantra, meditation, initiation, and scriptures. These are the elite 8 that Bhagwan Swaminarayan points out in his Vachanamrut. And as we progress throughout this presentation, we'd be able to understand exactly the preference of the elite 8, what is good, what is bad, even practical examples that we can match into our life. And is there one of the elite 8 which is the best of all? That's what we like to take a look at. So regarding that, in the Vachanamrut, next slide, Bhagwan Swaminarayan says in Gadara 1st chapter 78, if the 8 influences of place, time, action, company, mantra, meditation of God, initiation, and scriptures are favorable, they purify one's mind. However, if these 8 influences are unfavorable, they pollute one's mind. Now, there's 2 details that we can point out. Favorable versus unfavorable. If these 8 influences are favorable, then they purify one's mind. Now, spirituality is a process of purification. Once we enter satsang, once we enter the fellowship, there's various different kinds of methods that are shown in our day-to-day ritual life. For example, puja in the morning, doing the tilak chanlo, wearing the kanthi, going to take a shower after the call of nature, doing mansi puja 5 times a day. All these processes are a very, very foundational point in a newcomer in satsang. What is the reason for these processes? Because this will start the process of purification of the mind. Now you're probably thinking, how is my mind polluted? Well, if we can say, when we close our eyes, whatever we see, that is how much pollution we have in our mind. Pollution meaning anything besides the form of God, His mukto, or anything spiritual related can be considered pollution because it's a hindrance or a disturbance in worshipping God. So may it be even a roller coaster, and may it be even a party, may it be even academics or school. If we make school or academics a primary, so much so that we forget to do puja, we forget to remember Bhagwan, we forget to contact santos, then yes, that's also a hindrance in the path of liberation. Then academics is also one that can or is not purifying one's mind. But all these processes I mentioned, they are all needed as a foundational or focal point in order to purify the mind. And if one's mind is purified, then one will be able to worship Bhagwan very easily, and one would be able to attain Bhagwan. Because Bhagwan is pure, one also needs to become pure. If one becomes pure, then automatically one would be able to get the darshan of Bhagwan. And on the other hand, if these 8 influences are unfavorable, they pollute one's mind. Pollute one's mind meaning place, time, action, company, mantra, meditation, initiation, and scriptures. If these influences are unfavorable, if they're not suitable, then one's mind will become pure. And we will look at that in the future slides. Moving on, as we can see a chart here, the elite 8, favorable and unfavorable. Simple. One is favorable, meaning one is suitable. One is a comfort zone, as we mentioned, and one is a discomfort zone. Favorable circumstances is a comfort zone versus unfavorable circumstances, which is a discomfort zone. What do I mean? Well, let's take a look. A couple of points that we must remember. Prolonged exposure to a particular external factor eventually begins to regulate our thoughts, emotions, and inclinations. Prolonged exposure. What does that mean? Prolonged exposure meaning for a long time, if we're exposed to a certain thing. As we can see in the first picture in the background, the violet background, that is a party scene. If we are exposed, meaning if we are indulged, or if our environment is of a party, then even if one is the best of the devotees, even if one's mind is the purest, due to that party exposure, one's thoughts will change, one's emotions will change, and one's inclinations will change automatically. That is the influence of Maya. That is how strong Maya is, even if one is the best of the devotees. Even if one is ekantik, even if one has attained a very high spiritual state, if one exposes oneself to such an environment, may it be for a short period of time or may it be for a long period of time, one will feel the effects in the notion of thoughts, emotions, and inclinations. Versus, as we can see, our dear Puja Guruji. This is Loyadham Mandir, New Jersey, and Puja Guruji is sitting with Kishore Bhaktos and Yuak Bhaktos and explaining the Vachnamrut. There on, you can see a whiteboard. And from there, that environment, think about sitting in front of the Ekantik Satpurush, number 1. Number 2, Mandir's environment. And number 3, all the company of friends who want to be in that same environment. Putting all these 3 things together, think about where one's mind would go. Think about one's thoughts, emotions, inclinations at that point versus the party scene. You can see a clean cut difference. So one is unfavorable, which is the party, and one is favorable, which is the samagam of the Ekantik Satpurush. Another example, in the background you see friends enjoying and drinking alcohol together. Think about the thoughts, emotions, and inclinations there versus Bhakto attending Sibirs, winter workshops and youth Sibirs, and doing puja in front of Maharaj. As you can see here, our small Bhakta, Preet Bhagat from Delaware, only at the age of 3, but meditating and doing the Mansi Puja of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Think about his thoughts, his emotions, and his inclination. So Bhagwan Swaminarayan's principle is proven very, very practically and true through such kinds of examples set here. So he is saying that if you wanted to go and meditate in a party, will it be possible? No. But if you wanted to go ahead and meditate in the association of Ekantik Satpurush, will it be possible? Yes. Not only meditation, but the place is favorable. The time is very, very suitable. The action of listening to the words of the Ekantik Satpurush is very favorable. The company of the Ekantik Satpurush is very favorable. The mantra, the words we speak at that point, they will only be regarding asking questions or doing mara while listening to katha. Meditation of Bhagwan's murti, there's there. Nonetheless, initiation is favorable. You are at a mandir. And scriptures, the Satpurush's teaching regarding the Vachanamrut is favorable. So that would be a perfect environment, a perfect comfort zone to worship God right there. Nonetheless, you see Preet Bhagat there doing puja, and also all these are favorable, and that's why these are favorable. And due to that, a 3-year-old Bhagat of Loyadham Parivar at this age doing puja, having a tilak chanlo, having a kanthi, having a chotli, following dharam niyams, all due to our Thakurji Maharaj and the grace of our Puja Guruji. Such kind of young flowers, lotuses, are born in this Loyadham Parivar and grow up to be great Ekantik Bhakto, or even sadhus or individuals that are pillars of this satsang. All due to one Ekantik Satpurush. And we can see here, look at Preet Bhagat, his thoughts of Bhagwan, his emotions towards Bhagwan. We can see from his eyes closed what kind of emotions he's showing, and his inclination to do puja bhakti for Bhagwan. So there's a clean difference, and we should realize that what Bhagwan has given us, what kind of circumstance we are in currently, is very, very favorable, and it cannot get better than this. But it's a matter of realizing. And if we realize soon, we will attain the fruits soon. And if we realize later, then we will attain the fruits later. It's a matter of how much urge one has to worship God. Nonetheless, points to remember. Even if one of the 8 are unfavorable, it would be difficult to worship God. So suppose that everything matches but one, then one's mind will also become disturbed, and one will also have a difficult time worshiping God. I'm not saying impossible, but a difficult time, because for example, suppose outside it's winter, negative Fahrenheit, we're not wearing anything that is suitable, but we come inside and nice heating, nice seat, everything is good. But if a friend comes and starts to disturb us, starts to talk about other things, we want to worship God, we want to do the Mara of Bhagwan, and we are comfortable in every way according to the situation. But if some friend comes or someone comes and just starts to talk, then we would become disturbed, and that would cause you can say, slight breakage in worshiping God. In the same way, out of these 8, place, time, action, company, mantra, meditation, initiation, and scriptures, if one of them has a slight turn to become unfavorable, then it would be difficult to worship God. Nonetheless, spirituality and behavior are strongly dependent upon the elite 8. Strongly dependent. Spirituality, the level of spirituality one has, and behavior. Behavior with others, behavior with santo, behavior with anyone. would change due to these elite eight. That's how influential the elite eight are. And our duty as Loyadham Parivar Bhakto is to keep these elite eight as favorable as possible. And let me tell you all, it is all in our hands. We can do this. We do not need special attention. We do not need special equipment. We do not need anything special. It can all be done. It's just a matter of becoming alert. So that's why I want to show you a chart in the next slide regarding all these favorable and unfavorable places. How would it affect you? Okay, so on the left side, the first column, we have the elite eight. In the middle column, we have unfavorable, versus on the last column, we have favorable. So let's take a look at each one. Place. Dance club, which is unfavorable, versus Mandir, which is favorable. Why I'm showing you this is so that you can understand that you have a choice of going to a dance club by the influence of friends or by one's own thought process, versus you also have the choice of attending Mandir. What choice do you want to take? Do you want to make the elite eight favorable, or do you want to make the elite eight unfavorable? That's all in your hands. That's what I'm trying to explain. Number two, time. Growing up as a child 200 years ago versus present situation regarding modern life. Okay, so for this one, 200 years ago, we didn't have the technology to listen to live katha. 200 years ago, we didn't have the advantage of contacting santos via phone. 200 years ago, we did not have a car to go to Mandir and listen to katha or attend or do seva. 200 years ago, we did not have any technology to stay connected with satsang. That's unfavorable. Versus favorable. Present time, present situation, modern life is all the opposite. Right now we have technology in the form of computers, in the form of internet, in the form of phones, tablets, that we can join ourselves with and listen to kathavarta, listen to kirtans, which is a very easy way to connect with God. Nonetheless, we have a phone, so we can call Puja Guruji, Puja Santo, and do Sant Samagam. That's a favorable circumstance. Nonetheless, we have a car, so we can travel to Mandir, do seva, have darshan of bhagwan and Santo, and do their seva. Look at the difference between a child who had grown up 200 years ago versus a child who is growing up right now in the year 2021. That's why right now is favorable. Only if we choose to keep it favorable by using our electronic devices in a good way, by using our car not to go to a dance club but to go to Mandir, by using everything we have in the form of technology and taking it and using it to the best of our advantage to stay God-centered. Number three, action. Hitting someone versus hurting someone. Hitting someone, you can say, is unfavorable, obviously. And there's a typo there. It's not hurting someone, it's actually helping someone. I apologize for that. Favorable is helping someone do a chore, helping someone regarding academics, helping someone regarding spirituality. It can be anything. Company. Friends that have bad habits versus the Satpurush and Santo. Unfavorable is friends that have bad habits. In school right now, may it be high school, may it be college, may it be anywhere, we encounter many types of people. And it's in our hands what kind of friends to choose. Good friends, bad friends. But friends that have bad habits are definitely those who are bound to influence you, to peer pressure you into doing bad things, which is completely out of the norm. That's why it's unfavorable, versus the ekantik satpurush and the company of sadhus, santo, which is favorable. Due to the company of the ekantik satpurush, one can attain bhagwan. Due to the company of the ekantik satpurush, one can make this life the very last. Due to the company of santo, one can realize the glory of God in the ekantik satpurush. That's why they are favorable. Mantra, swearing at someone, that's unfavorable, obviously, versus favorable, chanting the Swaminarayan mantra. Swaminarayan, Swaminarayan. Bhagwan Swaminarayan gave this mantra to us as a gift. When he came on this earth and he introduced this mantra in the village of Fareni, before that time, this mantra had never existed on this earth. The very first time Bhagwan Swaminarayan manifested this mantra from his own mouth in the village of Fareni was the time that everyone heard it. No one else beforehand had heard this mantra. But, might I tell you, Sadguru Gunatitanand Swami says, by chanting the Maha Mantra Swaminarayan, one becomes Brahm Rup, and even the venom of a cobra is also diluted due to having faith in God and chanting that mantra. This is how powerful the Swaminarayan mantra is. Nonetheless, meditation, thinking of who has hurt you, which is unfavorable, versus favorable, murti of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Think about it, thinking of one who has hurt you. If one keeps holding grudges, if one keeps remembering bad memories of others that have hurt you or others that have taken advantage of you, that is the wrong type of meditation compared to meditating on the murti of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, which is the best of all, which is the one that can give you ultimate and forever peace. But one doesn't choose favorable, one keeps choosing unfavorable, and due to that, one stays miserable. Initiation, a fraternity. Those who are college students and university students will know this more, which they do things that help in society, and also there's the other side of a fraternity that all of you know that I don't have to mention, versus favorable, which is Mandir. Initiating yourself in Mandir, becoming a member of your organization, helping your organization grow, develop through your skills. That's something that is favorable. And finally, scriptures. Scriptures, a magazine regarding sports, a magazine regarding business, time, money, so on and so forth, versus the Vachanamrut. Which is more favorable? Obviously, it's hands down the Vachanamrut. So these are practical examples that were shown here so you can relate and understand this concept of favorable versus unfavorable of the Elite Eight. Moving on. Now, there are 8 of them, but which one is the best? Which one is it that can help the other 7 grow and become favorable? Nonetheless, Bhagwan Swaminarayan has stated this very fact in the Vachanamrut numerous times. In the world, there is a quote, "Man is known by the company he keeps." You probably all know where I'm getting at. Company. Out of the Elite 8, the most influential is company. Company meaning association. Association meaning the people who you hang out with, to put it in very blunt terms. Company carries a greater ability to wholly influence an individual than the other 7. Without a doubt. There is no doubt. All these 8 have their different features, are good in a way, but there is one that stands out of the other seven, out of the eight, which is company. The company one keeps greatly dictates an individual's interpretation and experience of spirituality. If you keep the company of an ekantik satpurush, one will also become ekantik, our ultimate goal, and attain bhagwan Swaminarayan. And if one keeps the company of a mumukshu or a spiritual aspirant, still that is not enlightened or has not attained God but is on the path, then one will become like him. Whoever you keep the company of, you become like. Factors of company play a key role in governing the direction of our destiny. This is how influential, this is how much weight, this is how much, you can say, emphasis is put on company, because it plays a role in governing the direction of our destiny. Our destiny meaning our future. However or whoever we want to become like, it can all be governed by the company we keep. And we see many, many examples in satsang, and we see many, many examples even in the world, that those who have kept whichever company have become like them through thoughts, through emotions, and through behavior. It's seen, it doesn't need to be explained in an extensive way, but it is seen in front of our eyes. That's why it's very important to keep the right company and to keep the best of the best ultimate company. What do I mean? Let's take a look at the next slide here. As you can see, this is a nice teeter-totter, and out of the most influential, we stated that it's company. Now you can see here company, and our Puja Guruji is on the left side weighing in only one company versus the other seven: initiation, meditation, mantra, place, action, time, and scriptures. The Satpurusha's weight, the Satpurusha's influence is so strong that all the other seven are completely, you can say, inferior to the Satpurusha's superior company. In Sadguru Shri Gunatitanand Swami Sadguru Shri Gopalan Swami Vato, Swami has talked about the Satpurusha's influence and has said that the idol of God, scriptures, sadhus, and pilgrimages cannot make a Satpurush, but a Satpurush can make all four of these. That vat can be taken into this perspective here, that through one company of an ekantik Satpurush, scriptures can be developed and are being developed. Time is favorable. Action becomes pure. Place also becomes pure. Mantra becomes favorable. Meditation becomes easy. And initiation becomes pure. This is the greatness, this is the glory of the ekantik Satpurush. And Vala Bhakto, all of you dear Bhaktos, we are very, very fortunate as Loyadham Parivar Bhakto of Sadguru Shri Muktanand Swami, that we have attained such an ekantik Satpurush who is like Muktanand Swami, who carries the virtues of Muktanand Swami inside of him. We can see with our naked eye that Puja Guruji's humility, Puja Guruji's compassionate nature like a mother, Puja Guruji's dasatva bhav, Puja Guruji's upasana, Puja Guruji's divinity, Puja Guruji's sadgun or qualities were and are Same to Muktanand Swami. That's how fortunate we are. And we have received such an Ekantik Satpurusha's company. That's why, without a doubt, this will be our last life, and we will go to Akshardham and cut the cycle of life and death, which has been disturbing us for innumerable time. But due to Bhagwan Swaminarayan's grace, due to an Ekantik Satpurusha's grace, we have attained this satsang. And it's a matter of just associating more and more with the Ekantik Satpurush and increasing our spiritual level. Therefore, in this example, the company outweighs all 7 of the Elite 8, we can say. Now I'd like to show you a video of how influential this company is and how much weight this company has. And from this video, we will extract a principle, and we'll be able to see that without company, what can happen. So this is a science video, and it's going to show what if the sun disappeared from our solar system, what would happen. So I'd like to have the video played, and from then we would learn the principle. As you saw from this video, did you pick up any kind of principle? I'm sure some of you did. Now, the whole video concept was, if the sun disappeared from the solar system, what effects would it have on the earth? Now, let's take the sun as the Ekantik Satpurush. And let's take the earth and all the other planets to be the other 7: initiation, meditation, mantra, place, action, time, and scriptures. If the Ekantik Satpurush was the sun, and if it disappeared, then on earth the effects of negative 400 degrees Fahrenheit would be experienced. Nonetheless, life would not be able to live. Nonetheless, Earth would start to fly off of its orbit in a straight line for 45,000 years. Nonetheless, it would become a chunk of rock at the end. All this happened due to one sun disappearing. In the same way, we have received an Ekantik Satpurush in the form of a sun. Due to his company, due to his association, there's life on earth, meaning our initiation and mantra are pure. We are able to live in a comfortable zone without any kind of problems. The earth is circulating around its orbit normally, which is favorable time in scriptures. Nonetheless, all the life on earth is sustaining without any kind of problems, which is favorable meditation and place in action. All these 7 are favorable, all due to one Ekantik Satpurush. Similarly, everything on earth is functioning properly due to the sun, due to the sunlight, due to the energy of the sun. In the same way, the energy of the Satpurush is the one that is sustaining all the other 7. That's the principle behind this video. And if one remembers this example, then one will remember and understand that out of the Elite 8, the most elite of the elite, the most superior or supreme, is company, or the Sangh of the Ekantik Satpurush. Moving on. Experienced assistant required. Assistance required. What does that mean? To comprehend the greatness of God, destroy vices, and become Brahmrup is very difficult to do so alone. Therefore, understanding these complex complexities of spirituality requires an experienced assistance. If we wanted to go on a plane, we would need a pilot. If we wanted to learn physics, we would need a physics teacher to teach us. And if we wanted to learn karate, we would need a karate teacher. In the same way, if we wanted to attain authentic kalyan, ultimate liberation, Akshardham, Bhagwan Swaminarayan, we need an experienced assistant that has already attained and is experiencing Bhagwan. Bhagwan Swaminarayan says in the Vachanamrut Gadada middle chapter 59, thereupon Shriji Maharaj said, in the four Vedas, the Purans, and the Itihas scriptures, there is but one central principle, and that is that only God and His Sant can grant liberation. In fact, God's Sant is greater than Bhav, Brahma, and other deities. So when one attains God or His Sant, then apart from this, there is no other liberation for the Jiva. This itself is ultimate liberation. Bhagwan Swaminarayan is stating, if you have attained God's Sant, there is nothing else to do. Liberation is guaranteed. Bhagwan says, when one attains God or His Sant, or, meaning it's either God or His Sant. In the Vachanamrut Gadada, first chapter 68, Bhagwan Swaminarayan says that I live in the 8 types of murti and in the Ekantik Sant. In this way, Bhagwan Swaminarayan is stating his Sant, meaning not an ordinary Sant, but in Ekantik Satpurush, where Bhagwan Swaminarayan is infused in his each and every pore. That kind of a Sant. Due to his company, one attains ultimate liberation. And ultimate liberation is attained, there is nothing else to do, and one has attained Bhagwan, and that is an end of the cycle of life and death. So now we would like to take a look at a charitra in the time of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, of Kashidas of Bochasan. Kasidas was a devotee of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, and one time he was going to Loyadham, our Dham, where Bhagwan Swaminarayan celebrated the very, very famous festival of Sakotsav. And in that very period, Kasidas and Kandas and some other devotees were traveling and arrived at the village of Loya. At that very time, how fortunate of these mukto, Bhagwan Swaminarayan was celebrating his famous Sakotsav and cooking. Bhagwan Swaminarayan there, as you can see in the picture, was wearing a dhoti and his clothes were yellow due to the turmeric, and was making this sak, making this stew, and he was sweating profusely due to not only the sun, the heat, but also due to the stoves and running around so much. Now Kasidas was a devotee of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, but as he was walking and as he saw this scene of Bhagwan Swaminarayan cooking like a chef, sweating profusely, and clothes very dirty, he thought to himself that this can be God? How can this be God? He looks like a chef. He's cooking food. God is supposed to be seated on a throne. God is supposed to be wearing lavish clothes. God is completely, he should have fragrances and he should be sitting, not doing all this stuff. So he developed a negative feeling towards Bhagwan Swaminarayan, Shriji Maharaj, due to this very scene. And he decided, this is not God. How could I worship God? And Shriji Maharaj found out there and said, what do you call a person that goes on a pilgrimage of Kashi and neither takes a bath in the Ganga or takes a sip of the Ganga? Kashidas could not figure this out. But Muktanand Swami, our Adi Guru, Sadguru Shri Muktanand Swami, the mother of Satsang, Sadguru Shri Muktanand Swami, the one who has taken care of numerous souls who are on the verge of dropping from the fellowship, was there at that very moment. And Muktanand Swami saw this very scene and knew exactly what he had to do. Muktanand Swami went to Kashidas and explained that, think about it, Kashidas, think about Bhagwan Swaminarayan, think about his qualities, think about the immense glory he has showed here, and you are broken, your faith is broken by just one scene? How can that be possible? Muktanand Swami talked about so much glory of Shriji Maharaj that in a short period of time, Kasidas fell at the feet of Shriji Maharaj, apologized and said, I'm so sorry, Maharaj, that I thought of you in this way. This is not the way a devotee thinks. You are the Supreme Lord of Lords. You are the creator of everything. You are the destroyer of everything, and you are the sustainer of everything. You are Avtari. You are the reason for all avatars. This is not your, this is just a mere charitra you are showing. And then finally Kasidas became relieved and Bhagwan Swaminarayan forgave him. But that charitra shows us that everything was favorable. But due to this charitra of Shriji Maharaj, Kasidas's mind changed. But if Muktanand Swami, in the form of the company of an Ekantik Satpurush, was not present there, then in an instant, all of these 8 would have become unfavorable for Kasidas. But due to one hold, due to one bearing, due to one anchor, Kasidas's mind remained pure due to the company of Sadguru Muktanand Swami, our Adi Guru. This is why we are very, very fortunate, because we have received a mother in the form of Sadguru Shri Muktanand Swami. This is why we are very fortunate that we have received a mother in the form of our Puja Guruji, that in no way he would let us fall from the satsang fellowship. He would take care of us. He would nourish us. He would elevate us spiritually, but in no way he would let us fall from this spiritual path. That is his grace. That is his daya. That is his compassion. Therefore, do not forget about this Muktanand Swami. Do not forget about this Muktanandiya Parampara. Do not forget about this Satpurush we have attained, because out of the elite 8, the Supreme is company. Moving on. Final references that I would like to show you is from the Vachanamrut, Gadara 1st chapter 18th. Slide before, please. Sadguru Shri Gunatitananda Swami says, before we take the Vachanamrut, I have never seen a Jeev attain the abode of God without the company of a Satpurush. Sadguru Gunatitananda Swami, who was the Mahant of Junagadh Mandir for 40 years, who was completely beyond the 3 guns, Sattvagun, Rajagun and Tamogun, was Gunatit, the one who attained Bhagwan Swaminarayan's Rajipo, the one who has given the liberation to countless souls, such a Satpurush is saying, I have never, look at how much weight there is in his words, I have never seen a Jiv attain the abode of God without the company of a Satpurush, meaning it is impossible. If one has nothing but only has the company of a Satpurush, everything else will come. And if one has everything but not the company of a Satpurush, all that will not remain. That is a statement that can be etched into iron. And Gadada, first chapter 18, Bhagwan Swaminarayan says, another factor that determines the nature of a person's antakaran, meaning mind, is the type of company he keeps. If he sits in a gathering of materialistic people in a lavish 7-story haveli, which you can see at the bottom right there, decorated with beautiful mirrors and comfortable seats, and if those materialistic people are seated wearing various types of jewelry and fine clothes, and are exchanging alcohol amongst themselves, with prostitutes performing vulgar dances to the accompaniment of various musical instruments, then the person's mind or antakaran will unquestionably be adversely affected. Unquestionably, without a doubt, be adversely affected. And on the other hand, if a person sits in an assembly where a paramhansa, meaning a sadhu, is seated on a torn mattress in a grass hut, and discourses of God, dharma, gnana, vairagya, and bhakti are in progress, then the person's antakaran or mind will surely be favorably affected. So one does not need technology, one does not need a lavish place, one does not need any kind of riches or any wealth to worship God. One only needs company to worship God. This is what this Vachanamrut is stating. And finally, dear Bhaktos, therefore, the company of a Satpurush is a must. This is the bottom line. The company of a Satpurush is a must. If one does not have anything but has the company of a Satpurush, then due to that company, we will attain everything, all qualities, all eligibilities to attain Akshardham, to please Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Therefore, it is my humble plea to all of you Bhaktos, wherever you can see, wherever you can find an Ekantik Satpurush, take refuge, become blind, become deaf, and do as he says. Take his qualities, take his good virtues, and speak good of him, and everything else will occur. Everything else will occur without a doubt. One will not even know, and one will be progressing in very, very high speeds. So therefore, we learned about the Elite 8, and we are very fortunate we have the Elite 8 right in front of us, as we can see here, in the form of our Thakurji Maharaj, number 1, Muktanand Swami, number 2, Adanand Swami, number 3, Haripriya Swami, number 4, Vekuncharan Swami, number 5, Narayan Swarup Swami, number 6, Nand Kishore Swami, our Dada Guruji, number 7, and our Puja Guruji, number 8. Our Elite 8 started with them, is also going to end with them. Saying this, my humble Jai Swaminarayan.